So I was talking notebooks with my boy Bump, and we got talking about these all-star starters, and we thought it's just insane that Russell Westbrook is not starting. The guy's averaging a triple-double, but we got talking about the biggest snubs ever, and honestly, Bump convinced me that Russell Westbrook is the biggest all-star snub in history, ever.
He's not a snub.
Ever.
He's not a snub because he's making the all-star
Yes.
team. The word snub means you're not making the team. So yes, 12 hours later, we're all fussy about it. Mr. Bump is making notes in his notebook, but really doesn't matter. Russell Westbrook is going to be on the team. He is going to be with everyone else. He's not going to be announced as a starter, but I don't think it necessarily matters. He should have been there, even though Steph Curry has had a good year and is the reigning MVP 2 times over.
Yeah.
But what's the big deal when it comes down to it?
Next Friday, we're going to be sitting here and talking about real snubs when it comes to who didn't even make the team.
Yeah.
That's the real snub. Westbrook's going to be there. I've said this before on the Drop podcast this morning. No one, when they argue about all-star selections, ever do they go, yeah, but how many did he start? Oh, Kevin Garnett, he made 15 all-star games, but how many did he start? No one ever does that. No. It's just whether you were an all-star, and of course at the end of the year, whether you were an all-NBA. So, yeah, it's weird to have a guy averaging a triple-double not ultimately be in that starting 5, but he's going to play a lot of minutes in the all-star game, and he's probably going to go for his 3rd straight all-star MVP, because if anything, this will just make the guy more angry. So, yeah.
I mean, you say nobody cares about it when you're counting your history and you look back at a player's career, but obviously it's still a pride thing that you want to start because it still feels like I am one of the best players.
Well, they asked Westbrook about it today, and he said, I'm not playing for all-star bids or all-star starting spots. I'm playing for championships. He didn't seem that upset by it.
Occasionally, though, players don't always,
lay it all on the line.
Exactly, yeah. But look, there's 2 spots. There's 2 guard spots, and the 2-time MVP, as you mentioned, is one of them, and James Harden, who's having an unbelievable season and is probably the favourite to win the MVP this season, is the other guy who's starting. I mean, Russell, as you mentioned, he's going to be playing there, but Steph Curry is having an incredible season. Not as good as last year statistically, but his team is 36-6 as well. The Warriors absolutely deserve at least 1 and definitely 2 starters.
You saw the crazy breakdown, of course, on TNT last night, like how this all comes about. It's not, in the end, Curry is starting because of the fans. The fans voted.
Yeah, they got the tiebreak.
They voted for him more than Westbrook, and the tiebreak came into play here because of obviously who the players in the media were voting for. Westbrook had him, and that's just the way it is.
You know what's different for Westbrook than it would have been in years past if he wasn't voted in? He knows that the media and the players both voted for him to start in this All-Star game as the best guard in the Western Conference. That's a nice little pat on the back to know that your players gave you number 1. Does he care about the media so much? Probably not.
No.
But the fact that his peers said he's number 1, that's different than just a popularity contest.
Yeah.
And I think, he didn't lay it all on the line. Nobody necessarily does. But at the same time, I think his anger was tempered a little bit because he knows his boys voted for him.
Yeah, he's top 2 in the player in the media. I think
maybe
number
1.
Exactly.
Yeah,
top
Harden
2 starting.
2,
You're absolutely right. But I think a bigger snub, honestly, from the starting selections, it might be Kyle Lowry in the East. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Raptors fan and I'm a huge Lowry fan. Seriously, and I say that because Lowry finished 5th among East guards in the fan vote, 5th among his fellow players, which shocked me a little bit, quite frankly, and 4th among the media. So, I mean, that's a real snub. He wasn't even in any of these 3 categories top 2.
Yeah.
And his teammate DeMar DeRozan obviously getting the nod.
Another great player who definitely qualifies for that position. But again, I had Kyrie Irving in my team, and I'm not disappointed with that.
Sure.
He finished number 1 amongst the players as well. So Kyrie Irving definitely has that respect amongst his peers. And Kyle Lowry, he's having a great season. His team's doing really well, but I think Kyrie Irving's having a great season as well.
Kyle Lowry's, okay, I mean, I know it was a different voting system, and we'll get into that. Kyle Lowry started last year. And he's having a much better year than he was even having last year. His team obviously still one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's perplexing to me. Again, just how low he was in all of the rankings. Maybe that he didn't make it, but he wasn't even in a tiebreaker situation.
Bieber didn't have the power this
so,
year that he didn't have last year.
Didn't he, Bieber? Didn't he tweet the wrong thing?
Yeah, he had a typo.
Yeah.